Today I like to talk about Monster Hunter intros because my life is currently falling apart and my thoughts about video games are the only thing I'm still delusional enough to think I have control over. Generation 1 intros are basically all the same one, just again and again. It tells the same story of the one Rathalos hunt. It's basically the same story over and over again from a different perspective, and in the first intro it basically just focuses on the monsters, which is very unusual for the intros. The hunters are basically just like an afterthought, and I quite like it, mainly because I really like the more animalistic aspects of the monsters. I really like the kinda spec evo science fiction aspect of Monster Hunter. And so it's kind of nice seeing like this is just like some velociprey's hunt and then get eaten by some rats. I do like the scene where the mother up the north basically just tries to defend its child, but it like doesn't work because it just walked past and then the child gets like brutally eaten. Velociprey. It's a bit much, but it's quite effective at showing you just how brutal this world is supposed to be, and it's very fitting for like the first generation of games where it's still not very beginner friendly and very off-putting. But then in the G and in Freedom, is more focused on the hunters, but it's not on the hunt itself. Mainly because you don't see the hunters again, except when they like you fight the Rathian at the end and like make the title appear. And mainly it's just because it's mainly just the smaller aspects of the hunter life, like how the weapons are made. I like the scene where the dual blades are used to cut the claw. It's really stupid. I don't know why it's in there, but it just adds a bit of charm. Like, of course they would use their weapons that they use to kill giant lizards to cut cloth. It just makes sense for these people. And like other smaller things, like, I don't know, taking care of the bow gun, putting on armor slowly. It's quite nice, and like the more human aspect of the world building, which is sadly often forgotten in the newer games, where it's just about the hunting, where the humans don't get really much attention, or the hunters don't. Where neither the humans or the monsters get much attention in like a world building sense, where it's just about the gameplay, which it's a game. It's the art you get from playing video games is the feelings you get through the gameplay, but I don't think that the gameplay is fun to do when you don't have an idea of how it's supposed to look, because I think that the intros have a lot of power about how you perceive the game itself. Like I basically just mained whatever weapon I saw in the intro because it just felt right, because that's how the game is supposed to be. as I saw in the intro, and when there's like no intro, like in the newer games, it kind of feels off, like there's no real idea behind the gameplay. Now it gets a bit more complicated in the second generation, where there are more unique ones for the different games. The first one is the Crucial Aura one, which was the in DOS, and it's okay. I don't really like Elder Dragons that much. I think they're a bit too much. Like I said, I'm much more a fan of the more grounded sci-fi monsters, and just like these really fantasy creatures just feel off. But I like how Crucial was less displayed as an actual animal, because that just wouldn't work, but it's like a natural disaster given flesh. And I really like how opposing it looked when in like the close-up shot on its face, because you can't really see its face, but you just see like the storm around it, which basically is part of Crucial Aura. So it's like it works. And I'm also kind of and I also like the Lunastra at the end. It's kind of interesting that it's Lunastra, because Lunastra was kind of forgotten in the newer games and kind of got with its with Teostra, but it's kind of interesting that they put it there at the end. I also really like the beginning of the intro, where you see some hunters on a hunt, and the combat just feels really realistic, and how it's the ape, it's one of the funny monkey monsters, which I like. My favorite monster type, my second favorite monster type, I like Leviathans more. I really like the primates, and just how it just grabs the sword, and one moment in the intro that's really cool. And also how it just falls over when the hammerman hits it. It feels like really realistic on like both parts. Like the bowgun user loses its gun at one point because he has to run away from the funny monkey. And it just feels so chaotic and brutal. I think it really fits. Then we have the portable second intro, which is probably one of the worst. I really don't like it. First, why don't you use the Poké Village music? It's one of the best village themes in the series, and why don't they use it? Second of all, why is the Tiger Rex forcing itself into that small cave? It really doesn't fit. You can see how the rock basically breaks apart when it hits it, which should like really hurt. And Tiger Rex, why would it do that? It seems so stupid. And why does it then come out of another cave exit to then fly down the mountain, which tigers can fly? Like, I guess it's supposed to like just fall down and glide like a bit, but it still looks stupid. Yeah, that's basically my main comment. And the flash bomb shouldn't have hit a Tiger Rex. It's not realistic. Flash bombs never work, mainly because I'm bad at video game. But I do like the aspect of seeing the mountain from when the hunter goes out of the village. That you can see the mountain, which you can also see in the game, which gives Poke Village like a bit of geography, which I really enjoy. Now, the Freedom Unite intro is probably one of the best. It's not my favorite, but it's probably objectively the best. It just really feels like a Monster Hunter. I don't know how I can explain it. Play like 5 Monster Hunter games from every generation and then watch that intro. It's just so good. Like, damn. Now, for the next ones, it's important to know that I don't know why you wouldn't know that when you click on a video talking about Monster Hunter intros, that Generation 3 was kind of like a very soft reboot. It's also really interesting because it starts again primarily intro focusing on the monsters instead of the hunters, because again they're basically just an afterthought. Like how the switch egg is put into the intro, as like it's just the guy is just standing there at the edge of the screen basically with the switch eggs. You don't really notice it even. I really like it because I really like the switch axe. It's objectively the best weapon, and if you don't think so, you should be purged from existence itself. The portable third one is kind of boring. I do like that we basically start from the view of a Rathian. I think it's supposed to be like maybe it's just the lighting. It looks green, but it would make more sense when like the Rathalos is flying, because Rathalos is the king of the skies, and also then the fight with the Asuras I really enjoy. It really feels kind of like a tense, but not like overly dangerous, which is a bit it's, when you compare it to the Blangonga fight in the DOS intro, it feels a bit lackluster, like it's a bit of danger missing. But in the end it's just a zero, so it's not supposed to be like a strong monster like a Blangonga or like a Rathalos or something. It's fine. I do like the way the items are used, like you can see him grill some meat. The way the shock trap is placed is kind of cute, and I'm actually a bit shocked that it wasn't in the game itself, like that particles couldn't place traps, because it made just so much sense seeing that in the intro. That I'm like, of course it would be in the game. It seems so convenient and like a good gameplay mechanic, but I hate Sin Ogre so much. I cannot put into words how Sin Ogre is just the worst thing that ever happened to humanity. I will do it later. The 3U intro it's fine. I like it. But there's one glaring issue with it, and that's Brachydios. Not only does it not really fit within the rhythm of the intro, it really feels like forced in, and even the music itself kind of like fades out, like really soft and awkward. And like then the Brachydios music comes in, and while I like it in the end, it's it fits, and I really like the way it like punches the screen, then the slime explodes and it creates a title. I like that. That's really cool. The problem is that Brachydios is the worst thing that ever happened to humanity. Now that's a bit of a tangent here, and that's that I hate the portable flagships because, like I mentioned before, I'm a big fan of the more grounded monsters, where I can believe that they're like actual animals. Obviously, none of the monsters are realistic, but a lot of them are grounded. Like sure, Arathian couldn't fly, but its wings are large enough that I could believe that, and the fact that it can spit fire and has poise and is venomous, I guess. It also makes sense because obviously fly would only evolve in smaller animals, and therefore breathing fire and being venomous would also evolve in smaller animals because there are no elephant-sized animals in real life who are able to create poison, because why would they need it? They are just big enough on their own. So obviously you can see that Raffles started small and then got all of these ability, and then because of them got larger. It makes sense. You can while you don't know the evolution of a Raffles, you can understand how all of these things would have evolved. Which you can't with Sin Ogre and Brachydios. I'm not talking about Magnamano. Let's talk about it. It's Sin Ogre. I like its whole symbiosis thing. It's really unique, but it's just too big to need the symbiosis. Like it's already like really strong and powerful. Why would it need the thunder element? It can like it's already so big. It wouldn't need it. And like it's also like really too big and muscular, especially on the front. Like as acrobatic as it is, like it jumps around, it makes flips, but it has just these tree trunks for arms, which doesn't make sense. Plus the whole like a lone wolf thing, it's kind of stupid. Why would you base a monster on a wolf without giving it the defining feature of a wolf that would be interesting to see in sci-fi, which is the whole very complex group dynamics that wolves have. This has basically the same problem. I like its whole symbiosis thing with the moss. It's really unique, but it's also just too big to need the symbiosis, and it's just too armored, and it has too many weapons. Like it has this massive mace tail. It has its punching glass. Okay, maybe they started getting bigger once they got in symbiosis, and its horn and its size alone. It just doesn't make any sense why it would need the symbiosis. And again, it's just too big and probably too heavy to be as acrobatic as it. Like you see it like jumping around, punching the ground as it's running. It just feels off. And that's why I don't like the 3 Ultimate intro, because it has like this whole very DS scene, which not only doesn't fit within the rhythm of the intro, but just in general kinda feels off. Also, there are 2 greatsword users in the intro, which is like you have 12 weapon types in the game. There are like 8 hunters. You could have done something more interesting. First Gen 4 intro is probably my least favorite one. It's mainly just boring. I do like the aspect the items are used in the insect glaive is shown, but it's like nothing's really happening except like when the funny moth dragon shows up in the end. It really doesn't do anything either. I do like the aspect the way the items are used, but in the 4 Ultimate intro, it's just used so much better. The 4 Ultimate one, probably not the best, but it's my favorite. And I haven't even played any Generation 4 game except Gen U. So maybe I should get to pirate the game, because ethically good to pirate all AAA games, especially the ones who aren't even sold anymore. Yeah, I just really love it. The way the hunters themselves, they have a really, you can see that they know each other and know how to work with each other, even though you only see them in that intro. I guess you see the lens. I think he uses a lens in the For You intro, but it's like the same guy, or at least the same model. I don't know if it's supposed to be the same guy who uses the heavy bowgun in the 4 intro. And you can feel that they know each other, even though they don't speak, they don't do anything, but just the way they like physically interact with each other is shows that they, I feel like, put like a backstory for these characters that they just didn't bother to do anything with. It's just all very, very cute the way they interact with each other, especially like the switchblade user, who is like so incompetent. It's cute to interact with each other. I quite like it. But also the way they use the items. The items uses is probably one of my favorite. Like the way they sharpen like the dual sword hunter is sharpening for the hunt is really cool. The way they carry the barrels, I really almost not screamed, but I was really excited when I saw them like place it near some cacti, and I was like, oh my god, they're hunting Diablos, and they did. It's just really nice, and it shows that the hunters themselves know how the monster work, which is like, again, it gives them more character. You know that they're experienced hunter, not only because they're hunting a Diablos, but also they know how to hunt a Diablos. Also like the way the cool drink is drinking, and how like the bowman kind of like uses the mushroom, kind of like then uses it instantly. It's all really fitting. And my favorite thing is about how the what was it called? Cephadrome, if I'm not mistaken. How the Cephadrome basically just absolutely bodies the Diablos. Not only is this interesting because you see basically a low rank forgettable monster basically destroy one of the favorite monsters of basically the fans and the game developers. But also because it's really realistic when there are like 2 monsters in a hunter, then basically the other comes and basically destroys the plans of the hunters, and it also the Diablos is like really affected by this. The kid like rammed into the wall and gets like stuck with its horn. Ending is a bit though, like with Seragius showing up. It's like I get it, it's flagship of the game, it should be in the intro, but it's also kind of like a bit unnecessary. You have to like zoom out or something and have like another small scene with Seragius. As you see like fight, and the camera slowly zooms out, then it switches like to night, and there's like a Seragius, and it's like maybe like eating the dead body of the Cephadrome or something. I don't know. You could have done something better than just suddenly there's a Seragius, and then the Diablos runs to the hunters, and the Seragius shoots its scales, and then the hunters dodge, and then kaboosh, it's the title. It could have been better, but in general, it's my favorite one, 100%. double cross ones or Gen U. I like them mainly because they tell a story of hunters that like you can see them grow. Basically, at the beginning they have these beginners equipment, the burner. How are you supposed to pronounce the village name? Berner, armor, and like you can see the skill level of the other. Like you have the hammer users using the basic armor because they look relatively new and inexperienced, and it's again that you can like see in the physical storytelling of the character that they're like very excited and obviously a bit newer than the other ones. The pellicle is also really cute, and I like how it basically shows the brawler thing without drawing it directly. I quite like that. And you can see like the skill levels, like the brawler also has just the basic armor, if I'm not mistaken. And then like the gunner has like the great Marco armor, which shows like a bit more experience but still very inexperienced. And then the great sword user has the Manifesto armor, which again they're all basically very new, but you can see the skill level from like the actual skill levels from the monsters in game. I also really like the Fated 4, I like two of the Fated 4, like Mitsune and Gameth. The other ones I kinda like meh. And I hate that the greatness of Mitsune gets basically destroyed by just putting that Sin Ogre near it, because again I hate Sin Ogre so much. But it's fine. I like the Gameth Tiger Rex fight. The Rathalos Astalos fight seems a bit off, like I get it, they don't want to show that any of the monsters is better than the other, because it's the main, it's the flagship thing of the entire game series. It's kind of stupid seeing it like absolutely demolished by another one, even though it shouldn't even have tried much. It could have easily killed Astalos. I get it, it's like faster, but if the Razor had landed one hit, it would be dead. Like the fall down, and then Astalos did not survive. Astalos is too fragile to have survived that fall. The Rathos 100% did come out alive in that fight. And again, I don't like the way Glavinus is. Is it correct, Glavinus? Is Glavinus or Glavinus? Like, I think it's supposed to be Glavinus, like, because fire, I guess. It's like the Glavinus scene is pretty stupid. I hate it because again it elevates Glavinus on a level away from the other monsters, which is kind of like off, because it really shouldn't. None of the monsters are really better than one each other. Like I thought it was the whole point that they're all like on the same level, and they kind of like basically the same monster again for like different places, and they have the whole cultural thing around it, like the different villages and the mods. I thought that they had something with it, but then putting Glavinus at the end and having like fight the hunters is like, it puts it on another level. Like have it fight the brigadiers or something. And it also doesn't really help that Glavinus is like on the edge of falling into the let's call it the Sin Ogre trap. And it's fine. I think the fire is a bit much, like being able to spit fire is a bit much. Like I really think that just getting like heat with the swordtail is more than enough, but it's fine. It passes. And I do like the way the hunter styles are like used. Now in the second one, in the double cross one, I do quite like that you can see them basically having the armor of the Fated 4. It's a bit more subtle. I didn't really understand it when I first played the game, because they aren't on the cover of the game, so I didn't really know that these monsters were supposed to be important. But it's I like it. It's quite charming. Even though White has the hammer user, the Glavinus armor, and not the greatsword user. Even though Glavinus' defining feature is that it has a sword as a tail. I don't get it. but you know, Venus hammers also. Most hammers are pretty ugly. I don't like the hammer. Or the great sword for that much. I just think they're a bit boring. I'm a fan of the more complex weapons. I mean, I personally enjoy the hunting horn. So I don't think my thoughts about weapons are important or should be taken seriously. Even though I should stop myself before I go into another tangent about how much the rice hunting horn is terrible and should be purged from human history. Wahlstrikes, Wahlstrikes is it's fine. Again, it's not really grounded. Like its legs, it really should have like a body type of like a Rathalos or something where it like can grab like Luthros or something while flying. You shouldn't have the normal Elder Dragon body. But then again, when you think of the Elder Dragons less as like actual animals and more as like natural disasters given flesh, it makes sense. Like it's a funny meteor dragon. Give it 8 legs for all I care. It's already not realistic or grounded, and it's like so over the top that I don't really care anymore. It's not like Brachydios and Soga where they try but fail with this more natural thing. It's fine with Wild Strikes. It's all fine.